Wariz Said Dawood Dahabo was brutally murdered by someone she knew and trusted. Her taxi driver. She herself called the driver to pick her up, not knowing that she was calling her own murderer. She trusted him, and she was not the only one who trusted him. Many thought that Hashim Dagane Mohammed was just another taxi driver in Eastleigh, Nairobi, but little did they know that he was an ex-Ethiopian police officer with a criminal record in his country. He is currently on the run after allegedly torturing, mutilating, and murdering the woman, her daughter, and her niece. But why? In this video, we look at the horrible happenings that ended the innocent lives of these three ladies, and also disturbing details released by investigators. On Tuesday, October 22nd, 3 bodies were found lifeless in 3 different locations. All of them were females, and all of them were killed in a similar manner. At the same time, a family in Eastleigh, Nairobi was reporting 3 of its family members missing. 38-year-old Wariz Said Dawood Dahabo, 22-year-old Amina Abdirashid, and 12-year-old Naswiba Abdidahir. It was reported that they all went missing on Monday the 21st of October. According to the family, Wariz Dahabo, the 38-year-old mother, was not feeling well on that fateful night, and therefore saw the need to go to hospital. She called a taxi driver, Hashim, and asked him to pick her up and drop her to a nearby health service provider. At 7:30 p.m., she is seen leaving her residence within Section 3 in Eastleigh, and on a closer look, she was seen off by her daughter, who remained at the exit of the apartment. Dahabo walked straight into a standby motor vehicle and entered the vehicle. Nissan Note, registration plate KDQ 718Y. She occupied the front passenger seat, and immediately she was in, the vehicle drove off towards Jogoro. At around 12:50 a.m. of the same night, the taxi driver called the girls using their mother's mobile phone and informed them that their mother was in a critical state. Investigators believe that Hashim asked the 2 girls to come pick their mother, who was not okay. He further instructed them to wait for his car and that he will be picking them up in a few using his taxi.
Wakaitwa, wakapigiwa simu, wakaambiwa mama yenu inaitwaje afil poa. So wakakuja wakamuendea kwa nyumba, venye amemuendea wakamuendea wakampata kwa gari.
At 12:53 a.m., the girls were caught on CCTV leaving their house and getting in the elevator of the apartment. In the video, the girls can be heard saying that their mother is with Hashim. Pause. The fact that the girls are talking about Hashim may only suggest that the murderer and the victims knew each other. As the girls proceeded out of their apartment, the same car that picked up their mother was parked outside around the same spot it was before. The girls stood by the road as though waiting for some car to pick them up. After a small while, they made a call, and seemingly from the call, they were able to identify the car. They proceeded to where the car was. They looked hesitant about getting inside the car, but after about a minute of talking with the driver, they were convinced and they got in the car and it drove off. That was the last time they were seen alive. According to a lady interviewed by the police, she said that she was also abducted and claimed that she was in the same room the 3 family members were locked in moments after the abduction. The lady, who is of a Somali origin, said that the abductor demanded a ransom to set them free. Her family managed to raise close to 1 million shillings, which was deposited to an Ethiopian bank account. After that, she says she was released with the abductor, leaving behind the 3 family members. That is according to her. At 4:30 a.m. in the morning, the same vehicle used by the abductor, or rather Mr. Hashim Dagane, was captured with the CCTV cameras along Mwambao Road in Parklands. It is said that the vehicle was dropping a body there because it was around that place that Amina's mutilated body was found dumped dead. Analysis of the deceased phones showed that Hashim made a stop in Bahati before proceeding to Parklands, and it was at that time that he dumped Nusaiba's mutilated body. It is believed that the perpetrator dumped the bodies separately so as to minimize chances of his detection and also to confuse investigators. After dumping the two bodies, the car was driven to South Sea where he dumped the chopped hands belonging to Wariz Dahabo Daud. The killer would then drive to Chumvi in Machakos County where he dumped the body of Dahabo. All these bodies were severely mutilated, and it was only after an autopsy that the actual damages were disclosed.
Nusaiba Abdi Mohammed, she died because of smothering. We thought that there was some also evidence which looked like rape. The second body was of Amina Abdi Rashid Dahir, and she had multiple stab wounds. Then the third one was Dahabo. She had her hands chopped off, a neck almost severed. Her hands which had been found also in a separate scene, but upon trying to reconstruct and looking at the body of the late Dahabo, looked like the hands were hers.
Who will really do that to an innocent 12-year-old? And why even? After thorough investigations, the vehicle was recovered within Wakulima Market in Kamukunji, Nairobi. CCTV footages provided showed the car being dumped at the spot and the driver walking away. On a closer look at the car, it wasn't that stained with blood, and therefore that may largely translate to mean that the three ladies were not killed in the car. They were killed in another location, and the car was only used to pick them and later on to transport their bodies. Those who were present at Wakulima Market reported that the driver who left the car had injuries on the head and on the hands. The man seen in the footage was identified by the DCI as Hashim Dagane Mohammed. According to some Isli residents who knew him, he was not a criminal, and if anything, he was just another taxi driver trying to make ends meet. But that is according to them. Detectives reported that the man is Ethiopian. He is from the Ethiopian Somali region, and he illegally acquired a Kenyan identification card. Before coming to Kenya, he served as a regional police officer in Ethiopia but was later arrested and imprisoned on murder charges connected with the death of his own wife. Afterwards, he fled to Kenya where he started a taxi business in Isli and Parklands. He allegedly worked as a taxi driver, and at some point, he also worked as a bus driver in one of the local schools in Isli. He was not a stranger to the deceased, so why did he kill them? Detectives have come up with two theories trying to explain these deaths, and so far they are still working to prove which of the two is true. The first one was that the murderer was just a kidnapper who was after a ransom. This theory was reached after Bashir Sharif, husband to the late Wariz Dahabo, recorded a statement saying that on that night, he had been contacted by a stranger asking for 1 million shillings so as to free the wife, and he did not comply. But wait, all along, Hashim did not hide his identity, and therefore, it was definite that his captives had identified him. Now, why would an abductor ask for 1 million shillings to free people who knew him and would easily lead to his arrest upon being released? Okay, assuming that he would have fled the same way after getting the ransom, then it does not make sense that he dumped a car that costs about 1 million shillings for the same amount of money, which is 1 million shillings. Being on the run is expensive, and for your information, he has not just abandoned the car, but also everything in the house he lived in. And also remember that in Ethiopia, he is a wanted man. The second theory is that there is a third party involved. Bashir Sharif, husband to the late Waris Dahabo, is a businessman who resides in the UK. And in the UK, he has a second wife. Close sources say that there was some simmering conflict between the two wives, and the second wife, who is based in diaspora, was not ready to lose. Detectives are currently questioning Bashir's second wife, as she was in Kenya shortly before the killings. Detectives suspect that when she jetted back into the country, she learned Waris Dahabo's routines and later on used someone close to her to end her life. But she had a problem with Waris Dahabo, so why kill her daughter and her niece? Well, while picking up Dahabo, Hashim noticed that she was seen off by the daughter. He instantly knew that the daughter had identified him and would testify against him in court if worse comes to worse. So being a man with the previous police training, he had to erase all kind of evidence. That is when he called Amina using her mother's phone and asked her to come see her mother, who was in critical state according to him. But instead of her going alone, she took with her 12-year-old Naswiba, who was insisting to see her aunt. Amina was the wanted one. She was the one being targeted so as to erase all the evidence. The case is still under investigation. Both theories still have some loopholes and none of them has been fully proven by the DCI. So subscribe to this channel so that you won't miss any update from the DCI concerning this case. The murderer Hashim Dagane Mohammed has not yet been arrested. He remains on the run as investigations continue. We condole with the family. May Allah grant them strength during these tough times, and may the souls of the deceased keep resting in peace.